Hello friends, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Ajay Solkhe, presently working as Assistant Professor, University School of Management, Kurukshetra University, Kurukshetra, Haryana. In this module, we are going to discuss principles of labor legislation. We will be focusing on the principle of protection, social justice, regulation, welfare, social security, economic development, international obligation. We will also be examining some of the factors which influence labor legislation. In it, we are going to examine early exploitative industrial society, impact of contemporary events, the growth of trade unionism, political freedom, end of colonial rule, extension of adult franchisee, rise of socialism and other such revolutionary ideas, the growth of humanitarian ideas and the concept of social welfare and social justice, establishment of the premier organization that is ILO, influence of colonial rule, the struggle for national emancipation and adoption of Indian constitution, and the approaches to labor law and labor legislation. We will also be discussing why labor legislation principles are required in India. Due to the growth of democratic ideas and principles, socialist and collectivist ideas, advent of welfare state, rise of trade unionism, emancipation of countries from colonial rule and a host of other forces, in almost all the countries of the world, labor laws increasingly became progressive in character and have been enacted with certain objectives and on the consideration of certain principles, which are generally reflected in the objects and reasons of the relevant bills. Principles of labor legislations. The principle of labor legislations have been categorized differently by different scholars. Likewise, Frank Telleward, while examining experiments in industrial legislation in Great Britain, highlight the protective and regulative aspects of such legislations. In 1937, R.K. Das mentioned four major principles of labor legislation. One is social justice, which includes abolition of servitude, freedom of association, collective bargaining, and industrial conciliation. Second was social welfare, which covers development of childhood, opportunity of education, conservation of womanhood, and improvement of environment. Third was national economy, which is concerned with development of industry, control of working conditions, regulation of wage payment, and social insurance. The last one was international solidarity, which has been explained in terms of the compliance of the provisions of conventions and recommendations adopted by International Labour Organization. Certain principles such as social welfare, opportunity of education, conservation of womanhood, and development of industry have broader implications rather than just confined only to the labor legislation. Looking at the principles of labor legislations, we have 7 set of principles which are immensely required for effective labor laws for any country. The very first is protection. Principle of protection, principle of social justice, principle of regulation, principle of welfare, principle of social security, principle of economic development. The very first is principle of protection. The principle of protection suggests enactment of labor legislation to protect those workers who are to protect their interest on their own and also workers in particular industries against the hazards of industrial process. Examples of various protective labor laws in India. In India, we have formulated the Factories Act 1948, the Mines Act 1952, Plantation Labour Act 1951, Child Labour Act 1986, Beedi and Cigar Workers Act 1966, Contract Labour Act 1970, Payment of Wages Act 1936 and Minimum Wages Act 1948. Important subjects covered under the protective laws are fixation of maximum hours of work, provision of weekly rest and holidays, protection of health, prescription of safety measures, fixation of minimum age of employment, prohibition of night work of women and children, regulation of underground work, fixation of minimum rates of wages and protection of malpractices relating to mode and manner of wage payment. Similar laws have been enacted in almost all the countries of the world. The second principle is the principle of social justice. Principle of social justice. The principle of social justice implies establishment of equality in social relationships. It aims at removing discrimination suffered by particular groups of labor. History is replete with examples where certain groups of society or labor have been subjected to various sorts of disabilities as compared to other groups or workers in general. The disabilities and discrimination suffered by slaves, serfs, indentured and migrant labor, bonded labor, and others is very well known. Discrimination against women workers, when compared to their men counterpart in matters relating to wages and other terms and conditions of employment, have continued till date. Example of labor laws enacted primarily keeping in view the principles of social justice are Indian Slavery Act 1843, Equal Remuneration Act 1976, Bonded Labor System Abolition Act 1976, and Contract Labor Regulation and Abolition Act 1970. The third principle in line is principle of regulation. The principle of regulation generally seeks to regulate the relationship between the employers and their association on the one hand and workers and their organization on the other. The principle of regulation seeks to regulate the balance of power in the relationships of the two dominant groups in industrial relations. When the employers were the stronger side, laws were enacted to confer upon workers' organization new rights and privileges. On the other hand, when the workers' organization started misusing their strength, laws were enacted to curb their undesirable activities. Similarly, when industrial actions, strikes, lockouts started causing hardships to consumers and society at large, the state had to intervene and enact always to provide for machineries for the settlement of industrial dispute. Example of laws enacted on this principle in India is the very first is the Trade Union Act 1926, Industrial Disputes Act 1947, and Industrial Employment Standing Orders Act 1946 in India. Example of laws enacted on this principle in Great Britain is Industrial Courts Act 1919, Industrial Relations Act 1971, and Trade Union and Labor Relations Consolidation Act 1992. In USA, they have formulated National Labor Relations Act 1935, which is also called as the Wagner Act, and the Labor Management Relations Act 1947, also named as Taft-Hartley Act. Similar regulative labor laws have been enacted in many other countries of the world. Talking about the principles of welfare, the main purpose behind the enactment of labor laws on this principle is to ensure the provision of certain basic amenities to workers at their place of work and also to improve the living conditions of workers and their family members. Although an element of humanitarianism is involved in this principle, but it has a very wider implications for promoting labor efficiency, establishment of industrial peace, and for ensuring a stable and satisfied workforce. Some of the protective labor laws such as the Factories Act 1948, Mines Act and Plantation Labor Acts also contain separate welfare provisions. Example of laws enacted with this principle in view are Mica Mines Labor Welfare Funds Act 1946, Iron Ore Mines, Manganese Ore Mines and Chrome Ore Mines Labor Welfare Fund Act 1976, BD Workers Welfare Fund Act 1976, Dock Workers Act 1986, State Labor Welfare Fund Acts and welfare provisions under the Factories Act 1948, Mines Act 1952 and Plantation Labor Act 1951. Principles of social security. Generally speaking, the principle of social security may be considered to be a part of the principle of welfare, but in view of its special connotation and its growing importance, it is desirable to keep it under a separate category. In industrial societies, income insecurity resulting from various contingencies of life such as disablement, old age and death and others has become a serious problem. Lord William Beveridge, the pioneer in initiating a comprehensive social security plan, mentioned 5 giants in the path of social progress, namely want, sickness, ignorance, squalor, and idleness. One of the outstanding measures to mitigate the hardship is to make available social security benefits under the coverage of legislation. Social security legislation may be kept under 2 broad categories. One is social insurance legislation and second is the social assistance legislation. In the first category, that is the social insurance category, benefits are generally made available to insured persons under the conditions of having paid the required contributions and fulfilling certain eligibility conditions. The fund for social insurance scheme usually comes from contributions of the beneficiaries and their employers, often supplemented by state grants. Under social insurance, the beneficiaries receive benefits as a matter of right. In the second category, that is social assistance, also the beneficiaries receive benefits as a matter of right, but they do not have to make any contributions. The finance is made available by the state or a source specified by the state. Social assistance benefits, they are generally paid to persons of insufficient means and on consideration of their minimum needs. Examples of social security legislations in India include Workmen Compensation Act 1923, Maternity Benefit Act 1961, Employees State Insurance Act 1948, Coal Mines Provident Fund and Miscellaneous Provisions Act 1948, Employees Provident Fund and Miscellaneous Provisions Act 1952. Social security laws in Great Britain includes National Insurance Acts, National Insurance Industrial Injuries Act, National Health Insurance Act, Social Security Act, Social Security Pension Act, and National Assistance Act. In USA, it includes Old Age, Survivors, Disability, and Health Insurance Act. Looking at the principles of economic development, labor laws have also been enacted keeping in view the need for economic and industrial development of particular countries. Improvement of physical working conditions, establishment of industrial peace, provision of machineries for settlement of industrial disputes, formation of forums of worker participation in management, prohibition of labor practices, restrictions on strikes and lockouts, provision of social security benefits and welfare facilities, certification of collective agreements and regulation of hours of work have direct or indirect bearing on the pace and extent of economic development. Principle of international obligation. This principle postulates enactment of labor laws with a view to give effect to the provisions of resolutions adopted by the international organizations like United Nations and International Labour Organization and other such similar bodies. In general, the countries ratifying the resolutions or agreements, they are under obligations to enforce them. What is the role of International Labour Organization? In regard to labour legislation, the impact of ILO is of particular significance. The resolutions of ILO generally take the forms of conventions and recommendations. The conventions are obligation creating instruments. The member states ratifying them, they are under the obligations of implementing their provisions by enacting labour laws or through collective agreements or other such effective measures. In practice, the implementation of the provisions of the convention is mostly done by enacting new labour laws or amending the existing ones. Now, what is the role of recommendations? The recommendations, on the other hand, are not obligation creating instruments. They are sent to the member states with a request to consider them while enacting labour laws or taking decisions in regard to matters covered under them. International Labour Organization, conventions and recommendations. ILO have covered wide range of subjects concerning labour on which they have given the numerous conventions and recommendations. For example, working conditions including hours of work, weekly rest and holidays, wages and labour administration. Employment of children and young persons including minimum age of employment, medical examination, night work. Then is employment of women including maternity protection, night work and employment in unhealthy processes and equal pay. Then is health, safety and welfare, social security, and lastly industrial relations including right to organize, collective bargaining and coalition and employment and unemployment. By July 2002, India had ratified 39 out of 184 conventions adopted by ILO, provisions of which most of the ratified conventions have been incorporated in the labour laws of the country. Provisions of quite a number of recommendations have also been embodied in labor law. Factors influencing labor legislation. Here we are going to examine some of the factors which are having an impact on labor legislations in India. The prominent among them are the early exploitative industrial society, impact of contemporary events, the growth of trade unionism, political freedom, end of colonial rule, and extension of adult franchisee, rise of socialism and other such revolutionary ideas. Among more factors, the first is the growth of humanitarian ideas and the concept of social welfare and social justice, establishment of international labor organization, influence of colonial rule, the struggle for national emancipation and adoption of Indian constitution, and lastly, the approach to labor law and labor relations. Among the factors influencing the labor legislation, the very first is early exploitative industrial society. The origin of labor legislation lies in the excesses of the early industrialism that followed industrial revolution. The early phase of industrialization in the capital countries of the world was an era of unbridled individualism, freedom of contract and the laissez-faire, and was characterized by excessive hours of work, employment of young children under very unhygienic and unhealthy conditions, payment of low wages, and other excesses. The conditions of life and labor in the early periods of industrialization in India were extremely rigorous. Hours of work were very excessive, and the industrial labor drawn from the rural areas was severely exploited. The British colonial rule in this country was primarily interested in protecting the interest of the British capital invested in the Indian industries and not so much in protecting the workers. It is well known that the early factory and labor legislations in India resulted from the need for protecting the interest of the foreign industrialists and investors. In the tea plantations of Assam and Bengal, where life and work became extremely intolerable, workers started deserting their place of work for their village homes. The first Factory Act of 1881 resulted from the complaints of the Lancashire textile magnates against the competition by the cotton textile produced in the Indian mills because the labor employed by them was extremely cheap. The main idea behind this legislation was to increase the cost of production of Indian textiles by reducing the hours of work and improving other working conditions. The second influence of colonial rule on Indian labor legislation has grown out of the fact that the early administrators and the civil servants in India were drawn from England. They brought with them the pragmatism of the British society and were steeped into the English tradition. The result has been that the course and pattern of Indian labor legislation has closely followed that of England, though with a big time lag. Starting in the form of a trickle, rooted in an experimental approach, labor legislation in both the countries gradually became a strong movement. Therefore, it can be safely said that the labor legislations are the natural children of industrial revolution. Impact of contemporary events. Along with industrial revolution, revolutionary thinking of Rousseau, J.S. Mill, the French Revolution, Hegel, Marx and Engels and Russian Revolution greatly influenced the thought processes and hastened the pace of labor jurisprudence. The world wars made it possible for the laborers to realize their importance, that unless they produce, it will be difficult for warring nations to win. Therefore, they must stake their claims for better quality of work life. The revolution in science, technology, the communication and telecommunication also helped in bringing the world closer. It became easier for the working classes of the underdeveloped world to know the better conditions of service of their counterparts in the developed world. Growth of trade unionism. The trade union movement, which itself springs from industrial revolution, has been another factor which has quickened the growth of labor legislation. On the one hand, their demands for protection of the interest of the working class led to legislations in the field of wages, hours of work, women's compensation, social security and other areas. On the other hand, their growth necessitated legislation for the regulation of industrial disputes, their prevention and settlement, and trade union rights and privileges. Trade unions have been as much conditioned by labor legislation as they have conditioned them. Political freedom, end of colonial rule, and extension of adult franchisee. In this factor, gradual extension and adoption of universal adult suffrage placed in the hands of the working class, a powerful instrument to influence the cause of state policy. Their representatives started espousing the cause of labor and getting progressive legislations passed. The workers used their political powers for betterment and amelioration of their lots. Rise of the socialism and other such revolutionary ideas. In his analysis of capitalism, Karl Marx showed that the exploitation of labor was inherent in the capitalist economic system. Therefore, he was a strong proponent of the overthrowing of capitalist system. The echo of the slogan, "The workers of the world unite, you have nothing to lose but your chains," reverberating throughout the capitalist world, sent a shudder among the conservative and capitalist circles to which ameliorative and protective labor legislation came as safe alternatives. They readily grasped labor legislations as antidote to the spread of revolutionary ideas. The Fabian Society of England, the establishment of socialist and communist parties in many countries strengthened the trend for progressive labor legislations. The growth of humanitarian ideas and the concept of social welfare and social justice. Here, the humanitarian ideas and the role of humanitarians, the philanthropic and social reformers influenced the shape of labor legislation. Early Factories Act were made possible because of the efforts of the humanitarians like Flume, Place, Shaftesbury, and others. Researchers in social sciences like sociology, psychology, and anthropology exploded the myths of the natural elite and gave a powerful push to the movement of social reforms, social change, social justice, and labor legislations. Establishment of the International Labour Organization. ILO, through conventions and recommendations, has undertaken the task of creating international minimum standards of labor, which constitute the International Labour Code. They cover a wide range of subjects including wages, hours of work, annual holidays with pay, minimum age of employment, medical examination, maternity protection, industrial health, safety and welfare, social security, freedom of association, right to organize and bargain collectively, employment conditions of seamen and employment. The ILO standards have influenced Indian labour legislation to a great extent. ILO standards have formed the sheet anchor of the Indian labour legislations, especially after 1946 when Indian national government assured office. The directive principles of state policy in Articles 39, 41, 42, 43 and Article 43A of the Constitution lay down policy objectives in the field of labour having close resemblance and influence to the ILO Constitution and the Philadelphia Charter of 1944. Thus, the ILO both directly and indirectly has had a great influence on the Indian labour scene and labour legislation. Influence of colonial rule. Most of the early labour legislation came into being because of the pressure from the manufacturers of Lancashire and Birmingham, because labour employed in factories and mills in India were proving very cheap in comparison to their British counterparts. No doubt these legislations were beneficial to Indian labour, but this benefit was incidental to the main purpose, that is the protection of the interest of British capitalists. The British civil servants carried with them the British tradition of democracy and pragmatism. The Workers' Compensation Act 1923, the Indian Trade Union Act 1926, the Payment of Wages Act 1936, etc. followed the British pattern. The struggle for national emancipation and adoption of Indian Constitution. The industrial workers got support from the freedom struggle and nationalist leaders who made tirelessly efforts to get protective labour laws legislation enacted. The Indian Trade Union Act, the appointment of Royal Commission on Labour, etc. was because of the pressure from freedom struggle. The leaders of the national movement had promised the establishment of a better and just social order after independence. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar had played a pivotal role in embedding the rights of labour in preamble, fundamental rights and directive principle of state policy of the Indian Constitution. the representative labor laws were replaced by progressive labor laws. Approach to labor law and labor relations. Labor law seeks to regulate the relations between an employer or a class of employers and their employees. There has been a remarkable change in the approach to labor law and industrial relations since the World War II. The Philadelphia Charter, adopted in 1944, provided that labor is not a commodity and that poverty anywhere is a danger to prosperity everywhere. W. Friedman and others who have tried to analyze the essential characteristics of the legal development in this branch of law consider social duty on the part of the employer as the main bedrock on which this law is built. Friends, I hope you have understood the contents well. You can also refer to other quadrants of this module for testing your knowledge and having some more input on theme of the module. Happy learning.